Gentlemen, good afternoon. Happy Friday. This is your commissioner, Jim Jong-un, coming at you at 12:06 p.m. Sorry for the late report, but I figured I would give a little bit of a head start on the week 3 preview with some scores updated from last night. Hope you're all doing well, having a great week thus far. Without further ado, let's break down week 2, see where we're all at, see what happened, and then preview what we got coming up this weekend. So last week, Sebastian Brogan took on Bird Gang in what was one of the games to watch of the week. Seb, he's on on a roll. He's got a good team. He beat Hunter 133.8 to 93.7. Hunter's top performers was the Buffalo Bills defense. So that's usually tough. If your defense is going to be your top scorer, it's hard to actually pull out wins with that. But Sebastian has Jalen Hurts and Cooper Kupp and Saquon. Like, if any of those guys have great days in tandem together, he's going to be a pretty tough force to beat. Seb improves to 2-0, Hunter to 1-1. Diggs, Matthew Barbacia took on the Upstate upset. So the Battle of Rochester last weekend. Bosch edged out Levinson 115.9 to 77.9. Bosch has Josh Allen, Damian Harris were his leading scorers. Cortland Sutton and T. Higgins for Lev. Lev is in a rough place. We'll when we get to the standings, we'll unpack what his future might hold. Bills Mafia, Nino taking on Evans lost Poopfanier, Andrew Hansen. Andrew edges out Nino in one of the closer games of the week, 86.4 to 82. Not your most impressive scoring for either team, with Christian McCaffrey and David Montgomery leading the scoring for Nino, and Drake London with 20.6 points. The rookie out of USC with the Falcons for Andrew led the way for him. He got his first win of the year. Nino falls to 0-2. Nino's panicking already. There's no let's goes being uttered out of his voice so far. Team up dog Greg Spry taking on big strong guys Dan Fabi, an even closer game than the one I just mentioned, with Dan just barely edging out Greg 91.9 to 88.7. Nick Chubb leading the way for Dan, with Kyler Murray leading the way for Greg. Dan is 2-0, Greg is 0-2. Handsome strong guys, Evan Homewater taking on Dome in the Dome Boomer Dangle. Evan beat Boomer 115 to 81. Evan has Tyreek Hill, who absolutely went off with 36 points, close to the leading scorer of the week. He also has Mark Andrews. That's a nice little tandem right there. If either of those guys have big weeks, I think Evan's going to be in pretty good company. Boomer, on the other hand, Carson Wentz was his leading scorer. Carson Wentz sucks, so kind of tough roster there for Boom. And last but not least, what are you going to do, guys? I think I might have broke the single game scoring record with 170 points to beat Brent. I feel bad for Brent. I think Dan said this earlier in the group me, but Brent scores 138 points. He's got Lamar Jackson dropping 41.9 total points and Aaron Jones dropping 30 points. But yet my boys, Stephon Diggs and Jalen Waddle, each with 30 plus points this week. I'm 2-0 now as your ruler and your leader and the supreme being of this fantasy group. I'm really hoping this is my magic season for that first coveted championship. After all the close calls, it's finally starting to pay off. Brent falls to 0-2. I, of course, improved to 2-0. Now, in week 3, we've got a lot of great games on hand, guys. Bird Gang, Hunter is taking on the Upstate upsets. Can Ben get his first win of the year? Hunter's projected to beat him 108.8 to 98.9. I think Hunter improves to 2-1. Sorry, Lev, your first win is not coming this week. Bills Mafia, Nino is taking on Sebastian. Can Nino get his first win? Seb is projected to win 110 to 109.8. You know what? I think Nino gets his first win this week. I think Seb is the right opponent. I think this is like who's the I can't think of a good example within the NFL, but this is like your Appalachia State knocking off a Texas A&M or an Alabama. I think Nino surprise underdog win here and knocks off Seb, giving him his first loss, giving Nino his first win. Another rivalry here. you digs Matt Barbaccia taking on Team Updog Greg Spry. I offered Greg a very fair trade earlier this week, which he denied. Let's see how that behooves him and his team. He is still 0-2, and he's projected to lose 94.8 to Botch's 104.5. We'll see what happens there. Brent Domble taking on Andrew Hansen, another old roommate battle there. Brent is off to a good start. He actually played Amari Cooper last night, excuse me. And so he has 19.6 points already off the cuff with one player. Andrew played Pat Fryermuth last night, who gave him 5 points. I like Brent to get his first win, Andrew to fall to 1-2, Brent to improve to 1-2. Dome in the Dome, Boomer Dangle taking on Dan Fabi here. Dan is projected to beat Boomer 113.8 to 97.6. Nick Chubb gave Dan 17 points last night. Boomer's got Jared Goff and DeAndre Swift going this weekend. I think Dan improves to 3-0 on yet another good start for Dan. Dan, you're doing well. And in the key matchup of the week, in the Battle of the Unbeatens, in the hot spot, Battle of the Hot Spot, handsome, strong guys, of which both of us are, Evan Homewater taking on yours truly, Jim Jong-un. Now, Evan's projected to beat me 110.4 to 105, as Brent was projected to beat me. I had Najee Harris last night. He gave me 11.6 points. Evan had Kareem Hunt. Really what this boils down to is the battle of the quarterbacks. He's got Joe Burrow. I've got Justin Herbert. He also has Jonathan Taylor and Tyreek Hill. Pretty tough to beat those guys. Stephon Diggs and Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's playing the Bills defense, so I'm sure this pleases Botch and Nina to hear, but I don't think he's going to have as big of a week as he had last week. Evan, I think, edges me out in this contest, but I'm sure we will play each other again, and I will beat him later on this season. A live look at the standings here. So tied atop first place, defending champ Seb. I'm in second. So the difference, what separates our teams is points scored. So Seb has scored 280 points through 2 weeks. I have scored 275. So really, I'm tracking as the second best team right now. Evan is also 2-0. Dan is also 2-0. So Sebastian, Jamie, Evan, Dan, the 4 teams sitting at the top, all tied at 2-0. Then you've got Hunter, Botch, Andrew, Boomer, all sitting at 1-1, with Hunter edging those teams out with 200 points, 214 points scored. Sitting in the basement with no wins yet is Brent, Nino, Greg, and Levinson. I think both Brent and Nino get their first win of the year in this week's games. And guys, with that, I'm going to conclude another week of your Commissioner's Report. And until next time, your Commissioner Jim signing off.